Alright, welcome back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed's.
And we are bringing you baseball history.
That's right, we're bringing you baseball history on our bi-weekly baseball history podcast, where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is out on the mound throwing them.
And you have no idea today, which I'm very excited about.
I never do. I mean, sometimes I do a little bit, but yeah, not today. You gave me a hint, and it gave me really no information whatsoever. Yeah, so I'm really of the tools of ignorance on today for sure.
Definitely. I'll just say you've done one of these kind of episodes before, but on a much more famous, at least modernly, let's call them, they were a duo. Anyways, regardless, before I get going on my story, which I'm stoked that you have zero idea about, where can people find us on the internet?
People can find us somewhere on the World Wide Web at Doing Baseball or at Doing.baseball. If you're perusing around the interwebs looking for us, one of those two handles should lead you in the right direction.
100%. Give us a review, give us a rating, whatever you want. You should listen to our last episode because Justin McKinney guest hosted for us. And most importantly, you should also look out for Justin's book that will be coming out at the end of this summertime. If you're listening to this in the future, it might already be out. But check it out. It's The Shortstop Was a Crook, the sordid baseball life and crimes of Billy Gear. Check it out wherever you get your books. And I also will just give another shout out to our favorite beverage on this podcast, and that would be Two Loons Brewing. Edsy, I'm going to Two Loons Brewing tomorrow. I'm excited.
Are you? Will this be your first visit to the brick and mortar location of Two Loons Brewing?
The first time it's been open, and I've been there. Okay, let's just say.
So you'll be able to enjoy the patio for the first time.
Oh, it's gonna be hot. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to enjoy Two Loons on the patio. You can enjoy Two Loons if you check them out at your local LCBO beer store or watering hole. You can check them out online at Two Loons Brewing or on the Instagram at Two Loons Brewing. And if you're enjoying Two Loons Brewing, as always,
please be of legal drinking age and, of course, enjoy responsibly.
All right. Well, as in, let's say, 70% of our stories, this man does not enjoy responsibly.
All right. It is a trend that we have adopted on this podcast because, people that don't enjoy responsibly are much more interesting. And that is not an encouragement to enjoy irresponsibly when you get yourself a Two Loons. So, let me just clear that up right there.
Yes. Well, and let's just say when I was looking for this one, I guess I did my Sulphur Dell episode, which was not, a plain bio per se. This is a bio, but it is not on a baseball player. Let's put it that way. So okay. I looked at owners, I looked at umpires and fans. I was like, I want to do something a little different. And then, like a meteor, Frank Slivers Oakley came crashing into my life. And now, you Eds and our listeners get to hear all about him.
All right. I assume Slivers is a nickname and not his middle name. I love it.
It's let's give you a little hint here. It's a stage name.
A stage name. Okay.
So,
I know where you're drawing the comparison to me doing a story on a duo now. Yes.
There we go. I knew we'd get there early on. So yeah, just like oh my goodness, why am I gapping on Abbott and Costello? We are going to hear about a man that made baseball famous off of the field. But Frank Oakley was actually born Frank Anderson in Sweden in 1871.
Okay.
If you believe his gravestone. If you believe MLB historian John Thorne, he may have in fact been born in 1876, as his daughter's 1904 birth certificate had him listed as age 28.
Okay. I tend to believe John.
I was going to go with that. It doesn't really matter. There is no... John did some great research on this, but I found so many competing narratives on this man's life. Just small stuff. The big stuff is all very cohesive, but the small stuff was tough. So 1871 or 1876. We'll believe John, but in the end, it doesn't matter that much.
Okay.
His parents were English, even though he was born in Sweden, and they moved to the United States at some point when Frank was a boy. And I don't know if he changed it or his family changed it, but they became, or he at least became, Frank Oakley. So as a boy, Frank did what modern children, I don't know if modern kids still do this, we'll find out in a few years, Etsy, but what every modern child, at least in the 20th century, threatened to do. But back then, it was actually plausible. Because Frank Oakley
ran away and joined the circus?
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay. It's every angry child's dream.
Every angry child's dream. He did it. He came through. He was 12 years old when he ran away and joined the traveling circus of Charles McMahon.
All right.
So, no idea if any relation with Vince McMahon.
God, hopefully not.
I could see the WWE coming out of a big top circus from like the 1800s, but sure. He starts out, he's, I guess, imitating animals or doing balancing acts. Once again, this is something that is tough to nail down exactly what he's doing when he joins the circus. Some sources claim he was a contortionist at first, while others said he was simply like a horse boy, not like a horse boy. Like he just groomed the horses. He took care of the horses.
Yes. I figured as much.
He was not a freak show human horse boy.
I mean, at the time, that was part of the circus, so, you know.
The circus was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to get to it.
Okay.
Oh, my God. So he changes it up. He leaves the McMahon Circus, and he joins the Andrew McDonald's World's Fair Circus. And that's where he finds his calling. A man named Oscar Lowinder, of a well-known circus family, discovered that Frank could do more than just brush horses, stretch, or balance. Frank Oakley, his destiny was to be a fucking clown.
Okay. I like it. Was this like a new... Was this like a revolutionary thing in the circus at the time? Do you know? Or were clowns always a staple at the big top?
I don't know specifically, but I know like the pantomime clown came from France, and it was somewhat of a new thing. Like I don't think there was always gestures, and like going back hundreds of years, like there was always comedic, clownish people, right? But
right.
like the profession of a clown. I didn't get that deep into the research here
Okay.
on the history of clowning, but there are many books, as I discovered, that I did not have time to read.
Okay. And
So-
how do you pick which one to read when you only have so much time?
Yeah, and this is not our longest episode. Well, we'll find out. But I kept finding more and more and more. I'm sure somebody could write an entire book on this guy if they really put their mind to it. So I don't know if he just like his parents found him or if he returned home at some point. But one source claimed that his parents were like, okay, enough of that circus stuff. You got to be an architect. So
You must be a rabbi.
yeah, he goes to architecture drafting school for 3 years, and he's like, no, like I'm a clown. Like I'm not about this. I'm going back to be a clown. And that's what he does. He hones his clowning persona over the next half decade. And he's very tall and slim. And with that is how he gains his moniker as Slivers.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. So he is like a sliver.
Yeah. Honestly, I couldn't find how tall this dude was. But in some photos, I don't know if it's just a perspective thing, but he does look like he's like 6'5", with a bunch of people from like 1890 that are probably 5'6". So he just looks like a giant person, but he also wears these baggy clothes. And so he looks ridiculous because he's super tall and thin. He's got these baggy clothes. He's got a chalk white painted face with thin, sharp accents around his eyes and his mouth. Like it's not all like he really leans into the slivers. Like everything's very sharp and thin. Like he doesn't have the big round mouth and big nose.
He sounds like a Scandinavian musician or performer.
Yeah, 100%. So
even though he's English, I guess.
But he was born in Sweden. Maybe his mom was fucking around. Who knows? So he starts to get some press early on. 1899, April 16th, 1899, the Illinois State Journal reported, and I quote, Slivers is inimitable, and his humorous antics are the joy of every onlooker. So,
positive review.
Yeah,
okay.
This is before he gets big, but that kind of review gets him by 1900, the year 1900. That gets him to be one of the star clowns at the famous Ringling Brothers Circus.
Okay, so he's gone to the big leagues then. The big leagues of circusing.
Yeah, and needless to say, and maybe not, I don't know. I don't know how much our listeners or you know about circus, but the circus was dangerous as fuck.
Well, I feel like I knew this, but
sure.
Anyway.
I mean, you got trick riders, you got trapeze artists, you got human cannonballs, you got lion tamers, elephants, and
snake charmers.
There's no safety protocols.
No. Sword swallowers. The list goes on.
Sure. And clowns, as you may be surprised, but probably not, were not spared. And this one story is, in particular, pretty bad. And I quote, a fellow clown of Oakley's, Dan Luby, died when he was doing a trick of jumping over 4 elephants. When his audience saw that he did not get up as usual, they thought it was merely part of the show. And they shrieked with pleasure when the other clowns solemnly picked him up as though dead and carried him away.
Okay. First of all, jumping over 4 elephants?
Yes.
How?
It might have been a human cannonball thing.
Springboard?
I found a similar story. It didn't name Dan by name, but they were so similar that I can only really pick one to go with. But I think that, but I just said that they were like, they picked him up solemnly as though he was dead. He was dead.
Okay. That's no bueno.
Yeah, Slivers said, and I quote, "We picked him up and carried poor old Dan off, doing funny stuff every minute while the spectators roared with laughter. When we got Dan behind the scenes, we cried over him. That's two sides of a clown's life, all in a nutshell."
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, oh my God, Dan.
Meanwhile, your heart is broken inside because your friend is just passed on in the most ridiculous of ways. It's ludicrously tragic.
Yeah, and I think that story is important for like where his career goes. So he's like, well, I got to do something, and it sure as fuck ain't jumping over 4 elephants.
maybe 2 or 3.
Sure.
Not 4.
So, I mean, on the other side of things, not to tear or pull on your heartstrings too much, but people generally did not see clowns as people, like just in the sense that they were entertainers. And I'll just quote: when performing once in Chicago, a boy threw a jagged-edged tin can at Slivers, giving him a long slash beneath his eyebrow, resulting in a scar. While Slivers stood bleeding, the boy bragged to his dad that he'd made a good shot. The two laughed and walked away.
Jesus Christ. Why would he have that?
A jagged can? I don't know. It's just eat beans at the circus.
I guess. It's BYOB. Bring your own beans.
Oh, yeah. It's 1901. Like, I don't know. Oakley would say of his life as a clown, and I quote, "There are bruises and hurts and moments of mental anguish, but the public laughs at them all and wants the clown to be funny in private life as well." In the same article, he would say, and I quote, "It's funny how people can't understand that we clowns are fellow human animals with just about the same outfit of feelings that the rest of them have."
Okay.
So, clown life's hard. Clown life's hard. Hence maybe why he gets into the drinking. Carrying off your dead buddy, having children throw shit at you, and always having to be a comedian even when you're not feeling up to it. So he tries to leave to go to theater and to vaudeville. But he would kind of bounce back and forth in between, the vaudeville stage and the big top, if you will. Mm-hmm. He was a very successful clown, but he felt like he needed something to make him stand out. The entertainment industry was cutthroat, and it was tough to stay. Then, one day, Frank Oakley happened to see some kids playing baseball.
Okay. And a light bulb comes on above his head, I assume.
Ultimate light bulb moment.
Okay.
And I quote, "I was on my way home after a matinee when I saw some small boys batting a ball in a vacant lot. I have it, I said to myself. I'll give them a one-act baseball game. I purchased a mask, mitt, ball, and other accessories and went to my room. For days I practiced the stunts. I even went to ball games to study." Okay. So, Slivers the Clown came up with a whole routine, wildly mimicking moments of the baseball game that was growing in popularity at the time. He was both catcher and pitcher, batter and fielder. He made spectacular plays, clashed with an invisible umpire, and even circled the bases, diving into home plate, only to be called out. At first, the act flopped. He premieres it, and it's mainly women and young children at the first one, and remember, there's no TVs. Like, you have to have seen baseball, and probably a few baseball games, to understand some of the mimicry that was going on at the time.
Right.
And, yeah, Frank says, Go ahead.
And I was going to say, and they're like, boo, jump over some elephants.
Yeah, they're like, this is not, my 6-year-old does not like this. So throw a can at him.
Yeah.
So Frank said, and I quote, "It was the flattest failure that you ever saw. Oh, it was pathetic, but I stuck to it. I tried it again late at night, and will you believe it? I received the greatest applause that 15,000 persons could tender. I had made a hit with it."
Okay, so he just had to wait for the right crowd.
Yeah.
He had to time the show right.
Yeah, I guess the matinee, anybody that likes baseball's at the baseball game.
Fair point.
There's no lights, you know. So,
that's right.
John Polt, his essay "Chalk Face" about Slivers, which John Thorne pulls from in some of his writings as well, says, and I quote, "Slivers, after setting up a diamond in the center of the big tent, emerged as a catcher with his bird cage mask and heavily padded mitt. He popped his fist in the glove a few times and set up, crouching behind the plate. He feigned receiving a pitch. Then in the midst of the motion of tossing the horsehide back at his battery mate, he suddenly wheeled to argue the call with the imaginary ump. Throwing off the mask, gesticulating wildly and jawing with his adversary. Later he took a turn at bat, and after working the count full, hit one in the gap, but was thrown out trying to stretch a 3-bagger into a home run. Another rhubarb with the umpire ensued. By all accounts, at this point, the crowd watching Slivers was delirious. One circus memoir of the period references the need for extra medical personnel because so many in the audience were passing out from laughter."
Okay. Must have been pretty good. Either that or people just found anything funny at the time.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time picturing it, but
dude, he's miming a baseball game. That's all you need to think of it as. I know he is this lanky tall, but like he is doing this pantomime. He is just picture a mime doing the fucking best job ever at pretending to play baseball and playing multiple characters. It was only him, the act, anyways, it was every move and gesture was so convincing that he never failed to carry the house. The New York Times gave a description of his 2-inning, 15-minute performance at one show, and I quote, "He spoke not a word, yet so natural were his actions, his fights and disputes with the umpire, that applause and laughter came constantly. 1, 2, 3, he catches speedy balls, imaginary of course, from an imaginary pitcher. Then he catches a runner between the bases. But the third out is a thrilling one. A fly is batted. You don't see it, but you think you do, that is, if you're not laughing too hard. Slivers thinks he sees it, but it finally disappears into the heavens. He can't find it. He sits down and waits for the ball to fall. Then he pulls out and uses a telescope. He finds the ball, allows the umpire to have a look at it soaring up through the sky, then frantically snatches his mitt from the ground, takes his position, waits again, and the elusive ball falls in his hands. It is the third out, and the opposing team is retired."
Okay, your description there, or whatever you're reading from,
yes,
it helped me picture it much better there. Sounds entertaining for the time.
100%. And it's early 1900s, and baseball is exploding across the United States at this time, right? Where we got the American League and the National League started up at this point, and Slivers' act became as well known to baseball fans as Honus Wagner or Christy Mathewson. Oakley also had a boxing and duck hunting skit, I think separate, in his repertoire, but they rarely get mentioned. His baseball pantomime was what made him a national star as a clown.
Okay. Makes sense.
The Scranton Truth, a newspaper, reported on May 23rd, 1905, Slivers' Frank Oakley, the cleverest clown of them all, in pantomime, gave a baseball game by himself that was quite the 3 funniest performance of the show. Slivers had won a standing among clowns by his original methods, but his baseball game is quite the best thing that he has yet executed. So, like, he was already good, and this is like, you know,
this is putting him over.
He is becoming the most famous clown in all of America at this point because of this. And no offense to any current circus performers out there that might be listening, but this was a time when that actually meant something. There was, you know, Barnum and Bailey, Ringling Brothers, the Great Four-Paw shows, you know, these were the center of America's cultural life. And when the circus came to town, you know, you went and saw it probably multiple times. And it was just like, you know, talking to your friends along, you know, chatting online or texting your buddies about the All-Star game or freaking, you know, whatever whatever show was popular at the time. This is as good as entertainment gets at the time.
Yeah.
And he's at the top.
Right. Well, and to defend what you said a few sentences ago,
yeah,
I can't name a single circus performer from today. So
no, we can name like Cirque du Soleil. Like that's a whole company.
Yeah,
it's not there's no. I'm sure they're gonna have some great clowns.
Maybe. Well, aren't they all clowns in Cirque du Soleil? Technically,
I mean, they're gymnasts and trapeze artists. Check it out. I saw a show in Vegas. It was pretty good. Anyways, moving on. Your point is taken. We can't name one of them, regardless.
The only to stay sort of off track for a second. The only one of recent memory that I can kind of think of that's not really a circus performer, but sort of in the same vein would be like Siegfried and Roy.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's an apt. Those were probably the last 2 famous circus performers that we know by name.
Anyway, moving on now.
We're both just like, I should send you to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Anyway, the bigger thing, Slivers' ball game and himself become household things. But this is like a big first moment for baseball in pop culture as well, because people that don't know baseball are being exposed to baseball for the first time. So just like Abbott and Costello, right? All of a sudden, there are these people that are finding this hilarious and enjoying it and needing to see it, despite, you know, maybe never seeing a baseball game in their life. Mm-hmm. So he's the most sought-after clown in the nation, and in 1905, Barnum and Bailey Circus and the New York Hippodrome fight in court over him, you know, because he's like working for both of them, and they're like, no, we need exclusivity, and then we got a contract, you got a contract, but Barnum and Bailey won, and he departs New York with them and travels across the country spreading his fame. Slivers would make $1,000 a week, which is about $40,000 in our money nowadays, so about a couple $1 million a year in modern kind of money. And we're a baseball show. To put that in perspective, Nap Lajoie was making $8,500 in 1906. So Slivers is making
like 5 times as much as the top player.
100%.
Okay.
100%. So that is how famous and well paid he is for this baseball act. In 1907, the State Register proclaimed, and I quote, Slivers Oakley was as funny as any pantomimist in France, on the home of the panto. I don't know why I included that quote. I loved it. So, same year, Oakley tells the New York Times of his, they're doing an expose on this famous clown, and he says, I don't try to be funny. Work will kill the funniest thing going. Take that ball game that I play all by myself. I don't see the audience. I just feel as though I was out on a real diamond in the middle of a hot game. It's absolutely real to me.
Well, that's the way to do it. That's acting, so I hear.
So he's it's being drawn in newspapers and stuff too, right? There's like cartoons about it depicting it. The ball game act was so popular that a Vitagraph short running about 4.5 minutes was made in 1907. So like early moving pictures. On top of that, the sheet music for the tune that accompanied the performance, entitled "Slivers, Rag, Eccentric," was for sale in shops across the country. So you
could listen to the record.
It's sheet music. It's sheet music. You got to do it yourself.
Okay. So if you could buy the sheet music and were able to play the rag song yourself, you could picture the performance in your head, or watch someone perform it and picture it in your head.
Yeah,
man, things were still primitive back then.
Oh man, it's so much. He is like, this act does not die out. Speaking of primitive, right? We have such a fast turnover on pop culture nowadays. Like, a song is popular for 2 months and then it's gone. This act is popular for a decade. Like, he just keeps going. So he tours the country. He's putting audiences into fits everywhere. This started in about 1905. The Kentucky Irish American reports in July 1909, and I quote, "Slivers, the famous baseball clown who made such a hit here last year, has added new laurels to his brow at Fontaine Ferry Park this week. His is one of the greatest vaudeville hits on stage, and on stage today, and sets the fans wild." One of the cool things I learned when writing this, Eds, is kind of just like nowadays, very, very different. There was like some off-season baseball kind of like fan fests.
Okay, that's cool.
So, yeah, but unlike the like meet and greet arrangement we have nowadays, it was very, very different. And I'm glad I found
it.
This
was meet and drink.
Well, kind of. It was meet and hear Jimmy Callahan tell you stories about getting wasted.
Okay. Pretty much the same thing.
I'll actually quote from my sources. The Chicago Inter-Ocean reported in January 1910, a trio of Diamond Stars billed in baseball's week at Majestic. Joe Tinker, Jimmy Callahan, and Slivers Oakley slated as top liners on fan program. So it's January. They're doing this baseball thing in Chicago in the off season with Joe Tinker and Jimmy Callahan, and of course Slivers. So Slivers is doing his baseball pantomime, and of course, what do you think Joe Tinker and Jimmy Callahan were up to? I already kind of gave one of them away.
Drinking?
Yes.
Okay.
But funny enough, so Joe Tinker is to give the skit in which he made such a hit recently at the West Side and South Side. He entertained the club on rainy afternoon when players were complied to stay at their hotel. So Joe Tinker is doing like a one-man act himself. Like,
okay.
Like,
might as well capitalize on this.
Yeah, I stumbled over that a little bit, but basically they're like, Joe Tinker's going to do a skit he did for his teammates on rainouts.
All right.
So it's like Christian Yelich doing like a monologue. Like, it would be very different from FanFest nowadays.
Yeah.
And then, as I alluded to, Jimmy Callahan has been engaged to tell the fans some Irish stories.
Okay.
That's all you need to hear.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this was like a 19 plus. Well, at the time it was probably like 14 plus audience.
Yeah.
So June 1910, Slivers performs with the Washington Hippodrome at American League Park in Washington, D.C. So he actually gets to perform the baseball game on a real MLB stadium. I don't know if this was the only time, but it was the only time I found. Oakley, out of his clown makeup, is tall and blue-eyed, clean-cut kind of looking dude, you know. He loves baseball, though. So this is something that's interesting. So he not only is pantomiming this, but he starts rubbing shoulders with major league players, as you could get from like the Joe Tinker and stuff like that. Apparently, he caught Rube Waddell at one point, and he stood at bat and faced off against Christy Mathewson at one point.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it says, and I quote, "When it comes to baseball players, he knows and loves them all. They are a fine bunch of fellows," says Slivers. So he basically, he's heading down. He goes down to spring training every year, and like just hangs out with baseball players. Like this is the level of fame that he's at. He's just kind of like, he's like Will Ferrell doing that like spring training game when he like comes through and like actually plays in the games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Ends up on every team.
Yeah. Yeah. So he is hanging with Christy Mathewson, Joe Tinker, Rube Waddell, all of these famous ball players from the time.
He's like,
regardless,
he's like Drake, but in basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes viral for the 1900s equivalent of viral, which is like a decade plus. Yeah. Yeah. Slivers the Clown and his pantomime ball game was famous, if not more famous, than any ball player at the time. Slivers, by the sounds of it, was embraced by Major League Baseball and embraced it right back. Apparently, as I mentioned above, even taking part in real spring training games. So, yeah, Seattle Star, I've kind of already talked about this. They basically say it. I'll just quote it. "Every spring training, Slivers Oakley is around the big league training camps, practicing with the boys and getting pointers for his act. Joe Tinker is his chum, and Harry Davis is his pal. Cliff Blankenship, once Seattle's favorite catcher, gave Slivers the catcher's mitt he uses in the act. Tinker's bat that knocked the famous home run at the Polo Grounds in 1909 and won the pennant for the Cubs is the one which Slivers displays." So,
what a collection of memorabilia he's built up for his act.
Yeah. Yeah, he is absolutely amazing. So he would remain, he's famous. He's hanging out with ball players. His stuff, he's using like a famous bat even at this point in his act. He would remain in demand, and the act would as well for years, before people had silent movies. And even when silent movies hit, Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin were both like, "I learned my shit from Slivers the Clown."
Wow. What an influence this guy's had.
Yeah. Yeah. So Buster Keaton even said that Slivers, in a tie with fellow pantomimist Marceline, was one of his favorite comics of all time. And Keaton would actually kind of recreate the Slivers act in his movie The Cameraman in 1928.
Okay.
It's good. You can watch The Cameraman on YouTube. I highly suggest our listeners go check that out. It's just funny. It's like a camera guy setting up for the Yankees game, and then someone's like, "The Yankees aren't here. They're out of town. They're in St. Louis." And he's just like,
He's like,
okay.
"I should send you to St. Louis."
100%. I set that up. So Keaton essentially starts running around and pretending to play baseball. He's alluding to this famous act. But unfortunately, Oakley would not be around to see that in 1928. So,
dun dun dun.
We're getting to the end here. And the end's not pretty. Once again, I'm trying not to have everybody be tragic, but got halfway through this and was like, how does it end? Oh, shit. Damn it.
Get ready to hug your families, folks.
Well, yeah, he marries a fellow entertainer, Nellie Fogden, around 1902. They had a daughter named Verona, as I mentioned before, 1904. Apparently, they would divorce a few years after that. It was interesting. I couldn't really find some talked about his wife. And anyway, Nellie dies in 1913. Whether they were divorced or not, maybe he still loved her. Maybe it was amicable, or maybe they didn't get divorced. I'm not 100% sure. But she dies. And his career had already kind of plateaued at this point. He's still making money. He's still getting paid, but not the same as before. He's making like $15,000 a year now, which is still like crazy money. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars in modern day money. Mm-hmm. But he couldn't stay on top forever. He's drinking. He's super depressed, and he like is kind of becoming a bit of a shithead in his early 40s. And he's bumming around Detroit. He gets into a tussle, gets into a fight one night. The police get called, and he's like, "I'm the famous clown," like, "Ooh, baseball." And the police are like, "Yeah, you're going to jail still." Like, you're done. Luckily, his daughter at this point, after his wife dies, and he's a real going down off the deep end. His daughter's at least being taken care of by a famous circus horse rider by the name of Josie Dermot Robinson. That's just a fun fact for everybody. Mm-hmm. And speaking of daughters, he hires a teenager, Viola Stoll, to be kind of a housekeeper after she's stranded in Utica, New York by a theater company. And this is just problematic, to say the least. She is 17. He is, maybe 42. If you believe John Thorne's, maybe he's like 38. But he's
either way.
Yeah. And it's not quite 100% if they were romantic or not, but he definitely wanted it to be romantic. Yeah. So she one day is just like, I am out of here, creepy old man. And she takes the train to St. Louis, as he obviously told her.
That I should send you to St. Louis. 3 times.
I really hope people watch The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And she takes these jewels with her that were his ex-wives, and she claims that they were given to her by Oakley, and Oakley's like, no, you stole them, and he like gets the police to arrest her in St. Louis, bring her back, and charge her with theft. Mm-hmm. He immediately regrets this decision because I think he just wanted her to come back, and they were like, yeah, she's going to jail, and he's like, no, I just wanted her to like be with me. And they were like, no,
that's not how it works, bud.
Yeah. So he tries to plead for clemency in court even, and the girl is still sentenced to 3 years in prison. So he continues his act. He's traveling. He's a thespian clown, but he did not forget about Viola. He's drinking heavily. His wife's dead, and his new love, or at least obsession, is in jail because of him. His mental health is not good. Not good at all.
It doesn't sound great.
No. And he's like, all right, here's what I'll do. I'll go to jail to visit her, and I'll propose.
It's a horrible plan.
Yeah. So in front of the superintendent of the jail and a friend of his, he proposes, and she, as you can guess, says, fuck no, go fuck yourself, old man. Like, I ran away from you, and now I'm in jail because of you. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So he does what any man would do. He starts crying and pleading with her until she's eventually like, Jesus, okay, fine, I'll think about it.
So, this is going horribly.
So she writes him a letter soon after being like, no, I meant what I said. Like, no, absolutely not. And Oakley goes drinking about it, and that would be his last bender. I'll quote from RIP Baseball article by Sam Gazdziak. I hope I did that right, Sam. And I quote, the boarding house at 308 West 71st Street, where Oakley was living in March 1916, was known as a residence for theater performers. He had been drinking for several days prior to his death. The police were called by the proprietor, Miss Hattie Everett, when the maid found his door locked. The police broke into the room and found Oakley lying in bed with pictures of his career scattered around the room. And he had taken his own life.
Oh. Yeah.
So,
I saw this coming, but dark turn.
yeah. The New York Times
like
headline...
he drank himself to death?
No, it's I forget who it was, whether it was it Win Mercer or was it he
carbolic acid? Oh, gas.
No,
yes.
Yeah, no, that was I forget who that was. That was that was a different one. No, but he turns on the gas lamps and doesn't light it and just passes out with the room filling with gas. But clearly it's a suicide. So the New York Times headline reads, Slivers the Clown, suicide for a girl. So that's his last big headline. And, his friends, despite the, creepy stuff with Viola at the end, his friends from the circus and the theater eulogized him, speaking of his talents and achievements, with one saying, he never made anyone cry. He brought laughter to the hearts of a million people. Which is...
I assume they all entered the room and carried him out while performing performing an act, but being heartbroken inside.
100%. Oh, good callback. And George McAdam would write in the New York Times 9 years after his death in 1925, and I quote, every spring visit to Madison Square Garden brings back to me the memory of Slivers. To the generation of youngsters that now crowds the circus, Slivers isn't even a name. But some dozen or so years ago, he was the king of clowns. Never before, never since, has the whirl ceased in all three rings while a clown pulled his stunt. Slivers had a huge arena to himself while he played his one-man game of baseball, and thousands rocked with laughter. So he lives on briefly, but as you can tell by 10 years after his death, he's already just gone. Even his grave marker would be lost to time, and the most famous clown in the world for a time would have no headstone. In 2024, members of Sabre took it upon themselves to mark the grave of the famous baseball clown through the 19th Century Baseball Grave Marker Project. And recently, a public ceremony for Frank Oakley was held on Saturday, June 27th, 2026, at the Mount Olivet Cemetery in New York. His gravestone reads, a star of circus and vaudeville, his one-man baseball act inspired generations of clowns and mascots.
All right. And
so...
Go ahead.
That's it? No, that's it. I interrupted you.
I was just going to say that. So that's the story of Frank Slivers Oakley, who was, more influential than I think anyone could possibly imagine, to be honest.
Sure.
If you didn't know the whole story and you just heard baseball clown, you wouldn't have possibly imagined his popularity and the influence that he had on entertainment and the game itself.
No doubt. He genuinely brought the game to people across the country that probably went to a baseball game because they saw his act, or loved it. There was probably baseball fans that were going to it. It is very similar to kind of the Abbott and Costello kind of story, where this hilarious.
There was probably lots of people who saw his act and then went to a baseball game, were horribly disappointed that it wasn't as funny as the act.
Sure. Yeah. Then I see whatever, the umpire Major Kurth beat somebody over the head, and they're like, "This is much more serious."
Yeah. Much bloodier.
Much more bloody. But yeah, no, that was my obviously his burial ceremony that Saber put together was recent. So I was just scrolling the internet one day, saw that, and it was that was my light bulb go off moment. So great work, everybody. John Thorne especially as well. For the research on this episode. It was, and then Sam, of course, from RIP Baseball, two really foundational sources for this. And, it went down a rabbit hole, lots of New York Times articles and stuff. This dude was super famous in his day. But obviously, none of us people living in the 21st century have any idea who a famous clown was, other than Pennywise.
Yeah. And famous for much different reasons.
Much different reasons. Yeah. Although he did like children. Sorry.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Well, thanks for telling that story, Sean. I never would have expected that to be on the list, but that makes another perfect episode for Sean and Ed's Do Baseball.
I appreciate it. Well, I'm excited to hear your next one. But until then, where can people find us on the internet?
People can find us on the internet somewhere at Doing Baseball or at Doing.Baseball. Give one of those two handles a search up, and it'll lead you in the right direction.
100%. Give us a review. Give us a rating. All of that fun stuff. Check us out online, wherever you can. And if you have a crazy baseball story that you want us to research and talk about, let us know. But until then, I'm Sean.
And I'm Ed.
And we were doing baseball.
Okay. Bye.